Lawrence Sanford appreciated the panoramic view from his expansive office, situated on the top floor of a skyscraper that dominated the urban landscape with its imposing glass and steel facade. As the owner of one of the largest companies in the technology sector, Lawrence was experiencing a peak in his career, with business flourishing beyond national borders. Beside him, his wife, an elegant and reserved woman, shared a life full of comforts and privileges, together cultivating a serene and harmonious home. However, an imminent change was looming over the established order of his corporate world. His secretary, Marta, a trusted lady who had been with him since the beginnings of the company, had decided to retire to spend more time with her grandchildren. Lawrence knew that replacing Marta would not be an easy task, given the dedication and rapport she had shown over the years. As he reviewed the resumes of the candidates, Lawrence came across that of Bianca. There was something about the simple, yet meticulously organized letterhead that caught his attention. Bianca had extensive experience in renowned companies, and her qualifications were exceptional. Intrigued, Lawrence decided to meet her in person for the interview. On the appointed day, Bianca entered Lawrence's office with a confident yet modest posture. Dressed in a professional manner, she greeted Lawrence with a firm handshake and a discreet smile. "Good morning, Mr. Sanford. It's a pleasure to be here today." Her voice was calm, conveying a security that contrasted with the softness of her appearance. "Good morning, Bianca. Please, take a seat." Lawrence indicated the chair in front of his desk, observing her as she settled in. "Your resume is quite impressive. Tell me, what brings you to my company?" Bianca responded with a clarity that revealed not only her competence but also a palpable passion for the work she did. "Mr. Sanford, I have followed the trajectory of your company for years and have always admired the way you integrate innovation and ethics into business. I believe my experience can significantly contribute to the continued growth of the company, and I am ready to face new challenges." During the conversation, Lawrence realized that Bianca not only understood the intricate processes of administrative management, but also shared his vision of leadership and innovation. She discussed her previous experiences with a passion that went beyond professional, demonstrating a commitment to excellence that Lawrence deeply valued. "I am particularly impressed with your experience in crisis management. Could you elaborate on that?" asked Lawrence, leaning forward, genuinely interested. Bianca detailed a specific incident where she led her team through a data crisis, minimizing losses and stabilizing operations in record time, all with a calmness that seemed to be her trademark. At the end of the interview, Lawrence was convinced. Bianca was not just competent. She possessed a dedication and alignment with the company's values that were rarely seen. "Bianca, I am very impressed with everything we have discussed. I want to offer you the position. I believe you will be a valuable addition to our team." Lawrence's decision was firm, accompanied by a confident nod. Bianca accepted the offer with a smile of gratitude, and a handshake sealed the beginning of a new phase in Lawrence's company. As she left the room, she felt the weight and promise of the opportunity she had just embraced, ready to fill the gap left by Marta and perhaps even exceed it. From her very first day in the office, Bianca proved to be an extraordinary addition to the team. Her ability to organize, prioritize, and execute tasks impeccably caught everyone's attention, but it was her knack for anticipating Lawrence's needs that truly highlighted her presence. She moved through the office with almost silent efficiency, coordinating meetings, managing important communications, and keeping everything under control with remarkable calm. On one particularly busy morning, as Lawrence was preparing for a series of video conferences with international partners, Bianca demonstrated her competence in a notable way. While Lawrence was reviewing his notes for the meetings, Bianca entered his office with a tray containing his coffee made exactly how he liked it, strong and without sugar, accompanied by a fresh croissant. "Here's your coffee, Mr. Sanford." And I included a croissant, knowing you probably didn't have time for breakfast. Her voice was soft, but her gesture conveyed thoughtful consideration. Lawrence, surprised and thankful, accepted it with a nod. He couldn't help but notice how Bianca seemed to notice the little things that made a big difference in his long and often unpredictable days. "Thank you, Bianca. I don't know what I'd do without you to keep all this in order. Lawrence smiled, something he seldom did in the tensions of work. That's what I'm here for, Mr. Sanford, Bianca replied, with a discreet smile, before leaving the room to continue her tasks. As the days passed, Lawrence realized how his reliance on Bianca was growing, not just professionally but also emotionally. She had become more than a secretary. She was a reassuring presence in his often chaotic work environment. However, this acknowledgement brought with it an uncomfortable feeling. Lawrence found himself frequently thinking about Bianca outside the context of work, reflecting on her smile, her efficiency, and the way she always seemed to understand his needs without him having to say a word. One day, after a long meeting, Lawrence remained in his office, contemplating the city below as dusk began to envelop the sky. He was alone, with his thoughts wandering, inevitably, to Bianca. He questioned the nature of his fixation. Was it merely professional admiration? Or was something more forming in his heart, something he knew he should not explore? Do you need anything else, Mr. Sanford? Bianca's voice brought him back to reality. She stood at the door, holding a stack of documents. Lawrence turned quickly, a bit more disturbed than he would like to admit. No, Bianca, that will be all for today. Thank you. He tried to keep his voice neutral, but there was an involuntary softness that he hoped she did not notice. Sure, if you need anything later, I'll be around. She nodded and, with one last concerned look, gently closed the door behind her. Alone again, Lawrence sighed deeply, trying to reorganize his thoughts. He needed to focus on the productivity and efficiency that Bianca brought to the work environment, steering away from any thoughts that went beyond that professional line. However, as night fell over the city, Lawrence knew his resolutions would be continuously tested. On a Tuesday morning, as the office was still warming up with the arrival of the first employees, Lawrence called Bianca for a special task. His father, Albert Sanford, had been a colossal figure in the business world and had left behind a vast collection of documents that Lawrence believed might contain valuable insights for future projects. Bianca, I need you to go to the storage where we keep my father's old files. I'm looking for some specific contracts. They might help us better understand some of our past strategies. Lawrence handed her a list with detailed references, his meticulous handwriting covering the paper. Of course, Mr. Sanford. I'll go immediately. Bianca took the list, noting the weight of responsibility entrusted to her. The storage was located in an older building in the city, where piles of boxes and folders nearly covered every inch of the space. With the list in hand, Bianca began her search. Hours passed as she carefully handled documents yellowed with age, learning a bit more about the company's history with each paper she touched. Finally, in an old box in the darkest corner of the storage, Bianca found a folder marked only as personal. Curious, yet still focused on the task, she opened the folder. Inside, there were several letters and memos, but one particularly worn envelope caught her attention. The elegant handwriting on the front was unlike anything she had seen in the business documents. Carefully, Bianca removed the letter from the envelope. The words were of love and despair, written by a woman who declared herself pregnant by Albert. The intensity of the emotions transcribed in those lines was palpable. Shocked, Bianca continued reading until she reached the end, where the signature revealed the author's name, "With eternal love, Emily." Alongside the letter, there was a faded photograph of a young woman, clearly pregnant. Bianca's heart stopped for a moment. The woman in the photograph bore a striking resemblance to her own mother in younger photos she kept at home. The realization of what this could mean made her feel a mix of shock and disbelief. Disturbed, Bianca knew she couldn't keep this discovery to herself. She returned to Lawrence's office with the letter and photograph in hand, her heart racing. As she entered Lawrence's office, she found him analyzing reports on his computer. He immediately noticed the serious expression on Bianca's face. "Bianca, what happened? You look concerned," Lawrence asked, his brow furrowed in worry. "Mr. Sanford, I found something in the files that I think you should see." It's not about the contracts you asked for, but it's something personal." Her voice trembled slightly as she handed the letter and photograph to Lawrence. Lawrence took the documents with a confused expression. As he read the letter, his expression gradually changed from curiosity to shock. He looked at the photograph, then at Bianca, and back to the photograph, as if trying to connect the dots. "Bianca, is this your mother?" His voice was a whisper, almost as if he feared the answer. "Yes, Mr. Sanford, it is her. I don't know what this means, but—" Bianca could barely form the words, the magnitude of the situation weighing on her. Lawrence stood up, running his hand through his hair in a gesture of nervousness. He approached the window, looking out, trying to assimilate the revelation. "We need to talk about this, Bianca. This could change a lot." His voice was grave, laden with a weight that both felt. As the afternoon fell over the city, the office seemed to have become an entirely different world for Lawrence and Bianca. The discovery not only cast a shadow over his father's legacy but also threatened to unravel the reality that both knew. The revelation contained in the letter and the faded image of the young woman, whom Bianca recognized as her mother, cast a shadow over the office that once buzzed with corporate routine. Bianca felt each beat of her heart like a hammer, echoing her confusion and shock. With the letter still in her hands, she couldn't tear her eyes away from Lawrence's face, who was equally distraught. I really don't know how to process this, Mr. Sanford." Bianca finally broke the silence, her voice trembling, revealing the internal turmoil. "This letter, it suggests that we might be siblings." Lawrence finished the sentence for her, his voice laden with disbelief. He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration and confusion. "This seems so surreal. My father, he never mentioned anything. There was never any sign." Bianca just nodded, unable to formulate more words. The possibility of being siblings added a complex and disturbing layer to the emotions Lawrence already felt for her, transforming what was professional and personally attractive into something forbidden and deeply unsettling. "Bianca, I'm sorry you have to find out all this in such a way," Lawrence said, approaching her with an expression of sincere concern. I need to talk to my father. I need to understand what happened. I want answers too, Mr. Sanford." Bianca's voice was firm, despite the clear emotion. "If this is true, my mother, she never said anything. Why would she keep this from me? We'll find out together," Lawrence promised, with a determination that surprised even himself. "You deserve to know the truth, Bianca. We both do." Decidedly, Lawrence picked up the phone and dialed the number of his father, Albert Sanford, who was now retired and living in a quiet country house on the outskirts of the city. The call was answered after just 2 rings. "Dad, we need to meet. It's urgent." Lawrence's voice was firm but carried a weight he rarely used when speaking to his father. "Lawrence, what's wrong, my son? You sound shaken." Albert's voice on the other line was calm, but concerned. "It's about a letter Bianca found. A letter from Emily." The mention of the name seemed to pause the world for Lawrence, and he sensed his father's breath pause momentarily. "Oh," was all Albert managed to say initially. "I understand. Where do you want us to meet?" "At your office at home. Today. We need to clarify some things, Dad." Lawrence left no room for negotiation in his voice. "I'll be waiting," Albert responded, and the call was ended with a click that resonated heavily in the office. Lawrence looked at Bianca, his eyes filled with a mix of determination and fear of what was to come. "Let's go together. You have the right to be there," he said, already anticipating the confrontation that would define many aspects of their lives. Bianca nodded, taking a deep breath, gathering the courage to face what might be the most significant revelation of her life. Together, they left the office, the weight of uncertainty and possible revelation echoing with each step they took towards the meeting with Albert. The day, until then routine, had taken a turn that neither of them could have anticipated. Albert Sanford's country home, surrounded by an expansive, meticulously maintained garden and trees that whispered secrets of the past, seemed like a refuge far from the turbulences of the city. However, for Lawrence and Bianca, who approached the residence on that gray afternoon, the place was the setting for an imminent confrontation with long-buried truths. As they entered, they found Albert sitting in his favorite rocking chair, gazing at the distant mountains. Despite his advanced age, his posture retained a semblance of the strength that time had not yet fully eroded. Noticing the arrival of his visitors, he rose slowly, his face marked by time showing signs of concern. "Lawrence, Bianca, please, take a seat." Albert indicated 2 chairs in front of him, his voice carrying a weight of gravity and anticipation. Lawrence, holding the letter firmly, wasted no time with formalities. "Dad, we need to talk about this." He extended the letter towards Albert, who took it with trembling hands. "Oh, Emily!" Albert murmured upon seeing the name on the letter, a sigh of regret escaping his lips as his eyes quickly scanned the lines written so many years ago. "Dad, who was Emily to you? And what does this mean for Bianca and me?" Lawrence pressed, his voice firm, demanding truth. Albert placed the letter on the table, facing both Lawrence and Bianca. He took a deep breath before beginning to speak, choosing his words carefully. "Emily was a wonderful woman I met during a difficult period in my marriage. We fell in love, and she ended up pregnant. I was torn between my duty to my family and my feelings for her." Bianca, listening intently, felt each word as a blade, cutting through layers of her existence that she had hitherto been unaware of. "And why did you choose not to stay with my mother? Why did she have to go through that alone?" Bianca's voice trembled with contained emotion, her question laden with pain and a quest for understanding. Albert looked at Bianca, his eyes filled with sadness. "At that time, I thought I was making the right choice by preserving my family. I was wrong, and that is something I regret every day. Your mother was an incredible woman, and I should have been strong enough to face the consequences of my actions. How could you keep this a secret all these years?" Lawrence interrupted, the frustration evident in his voice. "I was afraid of the repercussions, the judgment, the pain it would cause everyone. When your mother and I managed to reconcile and overcome our difficulties, I decided it was best to leave the past where it was. But I see now that mistakes like these do not stay buried. They resurface, often with more painful consequences." Lawrence and Bianca processed Albert's words, each grappling with the emotions that arose. The silence that followed was a testament to the weight these revelations carried. Finally, Lawrence broke the silence. "And now, Dad, how do we deal with this?" Albert, with an expression of resignation and determination, responded, "I am here to do whatever is necessary to repair the damage I caused. For both of you, Lawrence and Bianca, I will offer everything I can to make amends." As the sun began to set behind the mountains, casting trails of golden light that infiltrated the room, the complexity of their relationships began to unfold. The conversation, although difficult, was just the beginning of a journey of acceptance and redemption that all of them would need to undertake. Albert's words reverberated in the silence of the room as twilight slowly gave way to darkness, enveloping the country house in an introspective atmosphere. Lawrence and Bianca remained seated, absorbing the gravity of the revelations made by Albert. The news of their kinship not only shed light on secrets of the past, but also redefined the relationship they had begun to build under the guise of professionalism. Lawrence, looking out the window at the now disappearing horizon, felt a deep need to reflect on the foundations of his life. The identity he had built, the decisions he had made, everything seemed questionable now. I never imagined something like this." Lawrence broke the silence, his voice a mix of perplexity and resignation. "Bianca, I know this is complicated, but I want you to know that you have my full solidarity and support. As my sister." Bianca, still processing the situation, looked at Lawrence, finding unexpected comfort in his offer of support. "Lawrence, thank you. I'm here for you too," she said, her expression softening. "Despite everything, perhaps we can find some sense in forming a new connection. As siblings." Albert, observing the interaction between the two, felt a twinge of relief to see that, despite the impact of his revelations, a new form of relationship was beginning to form between Lawrence and Bianca. "I'm very proud to see how you both are handling this." Albert intervened, wanting to be part of the healing process. "I know I have erred, and nothing I say now can change the past. But I'm here, willing to do whatever is necessary to help you two build something good from this situation." Lawrence nodded, recognizing his father's effort. "Dad, we will need time to process all this. But I believe that somehow we can make it work," he said, his voice determined yet gentle. In the days that followed, Lawrence and Bianca began to explore the contours of their new fraternal relationship. Initially, there was an awkwardness, a hesitation about how to behave with each other, but with each conversation, each sharing of memories and experiences, they found common ground. They started to meet outside the office, initially for coffees and short walks in the park, neutral places where they could talk freely. On these occasions, Bianca talked about her childhood, about how her mother had always been a loving figure, albeit melancholic, often lost in thoughts that Bianca now understood to be longing for a lost love. She would mention an old love sometimes, in her most vulnerable moments. Bianca shared during one of these walks, watching the leaves gently fall from a nearby tree. "I never knew who it was, until today. I can't help but wonder what it might have been like if things had been different." Lawrence listened attentively, holding a leaf that had fallen in his path. "And I grew up with a version of my father who always seemed a bit distant, a bit sad, perhaps. Now that makes more sense. He was carrying that weight all this time." As the season changed, bringing with it the freshness of autumn, Lawrence and Bianca found comfort in each other's company, discovering not only old wounds but also the possibilities for healing and redemption. Their relationship, though born from painful circumstances, began to solidify into an authentic connection filled with mutual empathy. As the leaves began to take on the golden tones of autumn, Albert felt an increasing urgency to mend the bonds broken by time and his own decisions. Watching Lawrence and Bianca find a new path as siblings, he realized how much he had lost over the years and how deep the abyss his actions had created was. Determined to do more than just apologize, Albert invited Bianca to lunch at his home. It was a cool, clear afternoon, and he had prepared everything carefully, choosing dishes he imagined she would like, although his nervousness made him second-guess each decision. Bianca accepted the invitation with understandable caution, but also with an openness that demonstrated her willingness to understand more about the man who was her biological father. Upon arrival, she was greeted by Albert, who appeared visibly nervous but genuinely pleased to see her. "Bianca, I cannot express how much it means to me that you came," Albert began, guiding her to the dining room where lunch was served. "I'm here because I believe everyone deserves a chance to explain their actions, even if they have caused pain." Bianca responded, her voice firm yet without hostility. During the lunch, Albert spoke more about his life, about the mistakes he had made, and how they had shaped the man he was now. He spoke with a candor that sought to transcend the barriers built by time and distance. "Bianca, I was very different back then. Full of ambitions and internal conflicts. When your mother told me she was pregnant, I was torn between joy and a paralyzing fear," Albert confessed, his gaze fixed on his plate, as if the memories were too painful to face directly. "And why did you choose not to stay with us?" Bianca asked, not accusatorily, but with a clear need to understand. "I thought I was doing what was best for everyone by keeping my family together. I was wrong, and it cost me the chance to know you and to be part of your life." Albert raised his eyes, meeting Bianca's. "But I am here now, Bianca. I want to be part of your life, if you will allow me. Not as an attempt to erase the past, but to build something new, something better." Bianca listened, absorbing every word. The pain of decades could not be erased in a single afternoon, but Albert's sincerity touched something within her, a faint hope that there might be room for forgiveness. "I will need time, Albert. Bianca finally said, her voice soft yet resolute. "What you did left deep marks, not just on me, but on my mother as well. I want to try to understand and perhaps forgive, but it will take time." Albert nodded, accepting her response with gratitude and patience. "I will be here, Bianca, no matter how long it takes," he promised, a commitment he intended to keep. As the lunch came to an end, and the two stood up from the table, there was a sense that a small but significant step had been taken towards healing. Bianca left Albert's country house with much to think about, feeling a bit lighter than when she had arrived. Meanwhile, Albert watched her leave, knowing the next steps would not be easy but willing to do what was necessary to repair what he had broken. As autumn progressed, painting the trees in fiery shades of orange and red, Lawrence faced a challenge that required both tact and courage. The revelation of unresolved family ties had deeply impacted his personal life, and he knew it was essential to rebuild the trusts that had been shaken, not just in his professional life but also in the more intimate realm of his marriage. On a quiet evening, after dinner, Lawrence invited his wife, Marilyn, to sit with him on the small terrace of their home, where they could hear the soft murmur of leaves stirred by the wind. He had prepared a cup of tea for each, a small but meaningful gesture symbolizing his desire to share and ease tensions. "Marilyn, there's something important we need to discuss. Something that directly impacts our family and our future," Lawrence began, choosing his words carefully to convey both the seriousness and sensitivity of the situation. Marilyn, sensing the gravity in her husband's tone, nodded, encouraging him to continue. "As you know, we've recently uncovered some things about my father and his past. Things that also involve Bianca, my secretary." He hesitated, searching for the right way to explain. "Bianca is, in fact, my sister. My father had a relationship with her mother years ago, and this was kept secret until now." Marilyn absorbed the words, her face reflecting a mix of surprise and concern. "That's unexpected. How are you handling this?" Her voice was soft, more concerned with Lawrence's well-being than with the shock of the news. "It's been hard, confusing. But I am committed to understanding and accepting this new reality, not just for myself but for all of us." Lawrence took Marilyn's hand, seeking comfort in the touch. "I want you to know that nothing changes between us. My commitment to you and our family remains unchanged." "I know that, Lawrence. And I'm here to support you, as always." Marilyn squeezed his hand, a gesture of support and solidarity. "What do you need from me during this time? I need us to be open with each other, more than ever. And perhaps in time, you might get to know Bianca better. She is part of the family now, in a way we never expected," Lawrence suggested, hopeful of weaving the threads of their expanded family into a stronger, more united tapestry. "I'm willing to try, for our sake and for yours," Marilyn responded, her commitment reaffirmed. In the days that followed, Lawrence also made efforts to strengthen his relationship with Bianca and Albert. He organized family gatherings that included Marilyn, trying to create an environment where everyone could express their feelings and learn more about each other. These meetings, although initially marked by some formality, gradually became warmer and more expressive. Alongside Bianca, Lawrence explored the new contours of a fraternal relationship, sharing childhood stories, discussing their aspirations, and occasionally, their uncertainties. With Albert, he sought to understand the man behind the decisions that had so dramatically shaped their lives. "I think we're making progress, Dad," Lawrence commented during one of these meetings, looking at Albert and Bianca, who now smiled at each other with newly discovered ease. "Yes, my son. We are, thanks to your willingness to keep us all together," Albert responded, his gratitude evident in his voice. As the seasons changed, so too did the dynamics within the Sanford family. Each small step toward acceptance and understanding strengthened the bonds that had been tested, promoting a future where trust could flourish anew. As winter approached, bringing with it the cold that made people seek warmth and company, the Sanford family found a new rhythm in their interactions. The meetings that started as tense moments filled with uncertainties gradually transformed into occasions for celebration and sharing. Lawrence, Bianca, and Albert, along with Marilyn, established a tradition of gathering for Sunday dinners, creating a space where they could strengthen bonds and build memories. On one such Sunday, as the fireplace crackled softly in the background, Lawrence's dining room was lit not just by soft lights but also by the laughter and lively conversations that echoed off the walls. "Do you remember, Dad, that summer when you tried to teach me how to fish? I think I spent more time in the water than any fish we tried to catch." Lawrence reminisced, prompting laughter from everyone. "Oh yes, I remember it well," Albert responded, smiling at the memory. "And you, Bianca, did your mother have any special traditions with you when you were younger?" Bianca, who now felt more comfortable and accepted in the family, shared a cherished memory. "My mom and I used to have old movie marathons on rainy weekends. She loved the classics. I think that's where my love for cinema came from." "That's wonderful. We should plan a movie night here sometime," Marilyn suggested, always looking for ways to integrate each person's life stories into the new traditions they were creating. The meals were always a special event. Lawrence and Marilyn made an effort to prepare dishes that everyone enjoyed, while Albert, now more involved, brought wines from his personal collection to complement the meal. Bianca, for her part, began to contribute recipes she had learned from her mother, adding a personal touch to the celebrations. During one of these dinners, as everyone enjoyed a tiramisu dessert made by Bianca, Lawrence raised a toast. "To our family, which continues to grow and strengthen, not just through blood ties but through the love and respect we share," Lawrence said, raising his glass. "To family, and to all the new traditions we will create together," Albert added, his gaze traveling across the face of each person at the table, marked by deep gratitude. Bianca, feeling a surge of emotion, raised her glass in response. "To new family and new beginnings. May we never forget that what matters most is being together, no matter what happens." As the seasons changed and the gatherings became more frequent, their relationship deepened. Barriers were broken down and replaced by mutual understanding that transcended the circumstances of their unions. With every shared laugh and exchanged story, the bonds between Lawrence, Bianca, Albert, and Marilyn solidified, forming not just a support network but a true family. These moments of unity and celebration not only healed the wounds of the past but also cast a promising light on the future, suggesting that, regardless of the challenges they might face, they had each other to face them with. As the Sunday gatherings became a constant, the Sanford family discovered a rhythm that allowed them not just to share laughter and meals but also to confront the deeper shadows of their past. The healing process, though gradual and sometimes painful, began to bear visible fruits in how they related and supported each other. On a particularly cold winter afternoon, as the fire crackled in Lawrence's living room fireplace, he and Marilyn snuggled on the sofa under a blanket. It was a rare moment of quietude, away from the demands of work and family complexities. "You know, Marilyn, I've been thinking," Lawrence began, his voice soft with introspection. "This entire process, although incredibly difficult, has made me appreciate even more what we have. Your strength and understanding have been my anchor." Marilyn smiled, squeezing Lawrence's hand. "I've always believed we could get through anything, as long as we were together. Seeing how you've embraced Bianca and your father, despite everything, only makes me respect and love you even more. Thank you for being by my side," Lawrence said, looking into her eyes with deep gratitude. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Bianca and Albert found themselves in a local cafe, a place they had chosen for its neutral and welcoming atmosphere. Seated at a table with 2 steaming cups of coffee between them, the conversation flowed more freely than it ever had. "Bianca, Albert began, hesitantly. "I want you to know that I regret all the years we lost. I can't turn back time, but I can assure you that every day from here on out will be an opportunity for me to be the father I never was to you." Bianca listened, Albert's words touching a still sensitive spot in her heart. She sighed lightly before responding, "I know, Albert, and I appreciate your efforts. Being here today, talking like this, is already a big step. It won't be easy, and there will be times when doubts may arise, but I'm willing to try." Her voice was steady, indicating her resolve to face the challenges of rebuilding their relationship. "That means a lot to me, Bianca. A lot indeed," Albert replied, a glint of hope in his eyes. As they left the cafe, the cold afternoon air enveloped them, but the warmth of their conversation provided comfort against the harsh winter. They walked together, one step at a time, rebuilding trust and healing the wounds of the past with each word, each gesture of understanding. This period of reconciliation and renewal not only strengthened the individual bonds between them, but also solidified the structure of the Sanford family as a whole. Lawrence and Marilyn, along with Bianca and Albert, were learning that true healing comes not only from forgiveness but also from the courage to face challenges together, supporting each other through every step of the process. The transition to the new family dynamic had stabilized into a comfortable and enriching routine. Bianca and Lawrence, in particular, found ways to weave their newly discovered bonds not only into their personal interactions but also into the professional environment. On a morning illuminated by the gentle winter sun, as they walked together to the office, their conversation revolved around a new project they were planning to launch. Lawrence, with an animated look, shared his thoughts with Bianca. "I've been thinking about expanding our operations to international markets. And I think you would be perfect to lead this project, Bianca. You have an incredible business vision and a way with people that I truly admire." Bianca smiled, appreciating the confidence Lawrence placed in her. "That sounds like an exciting challenge, Lawrence. And I would be honored to lead. Together, I think we can make it take off." "Absolutely. And working side by side like this has been one of the things I value most lately," Lawrence admitted, looking at her with genuine respect. Arriving at the office, they split up for their respective tasks, but the synergy between them was palpable. Meetings became more productive, and decisions were made with a combination of professional rigor and the careful consideration that comes from a strong personal relationship. In one such work meeting, as they discussed strategies with the team, Bianca suggested a new approach to a long-standing problem that had been affecting operational efficiency. "What do you think about trying automation in this process?" Bianca proposed, sketching a quick diagram on her tablet to illustrate her idea. "That's brilliant, Bianca. Your ability to see solutions where others see problems is exactly what will move us forward," Lawrence praised, feeling a fraternal pride that further reinforced his admiration for her. As they worked, their personal lives also intertwined with their professional ones. Lawrence often inquired about Bianca's well-being, concerned about her balance between work and personal life, a care that Bianca reciprocated in equal measure. "Lawrence, you also need to slow down from time to time. Remember, work is important, but our health and happiness are essential," Bianca reminded him during a lunch where they shared laughter and future plans. "You're right, as always," Lawrence laughed, acknowledging the truth in her words. These moments of connection not only strengthened their professional relationship, but also helped them rediscover each other as siblings and friends, finding new common ground in their personal and professional lives. As the boundaries between work and personal life blended, they found a balance that benefited both areas, a symbiosis that few achieve. The success of this new beginning was a testament not only to their individual skills, but also to the strength of their newly formed bond. With each completed project and every challenge faced together, Bianca and Lawrence not only redefined their professional capabilities but also rebuilt their personal lives, solidifying a partnership that proved unbreakable. As his family relationships evolved, Lawrence found a new balance that enriched every aspect of his life. The harmony that now permeated his family extended beyond personal boundaries, positively influencing his work environment. It was a transformation he valued not only as a businessman but also as a brother and son. On a mild weather afternoon, Lawrence organized a weekend retreat for his management team, including Bianca. The goal was to strengthen the bonds among team members and discuss new strategies for the company. However, Lawrence also saw this as an opportunity to deepen his connection with Bianca in a less formal setting. I think these moments away from the office are crucial, not just for relaxation but to get to know each other better as a team and as a family. Lawrence shared with Bianca as they walked through the retreat grounds, a space surrounded by nature. I completely agree, Lawrence. Bianca responded, observing the interaction among colleagues. This integration helps us understand each other better, which definitely improves our collaboration at work. During the retreat, Lawrence made sure to involve everyone in team-building activities that required communication and trust, two qualities he wanted to emphasize. In one of these activities, Lawrence and Bianca ended up as partners in a rope exercise, where one had to guide the other while blindfolded. "Trust me, Bianca. I won't let you fall," Lawrence said, guiding her carefully. "I trust you, Lawrence," Bianca replied, a smile in her voice, feeling secure even in her temporary vulnerability. This moment symbolized not just the trust they shared in the work environment, but also the personal trust that had grown between them. Lawrence was deeply grateful for these new dimensions in his family and professional relationships, realizing how emotional support and mutual understanding contributed to everyone's success. Back in the office the following Monday, the synergy between Lawrence and Bianca was even more evident. They led a meeting to discuss the outcomes of the retreat, and Lawrence made a point of highlighting everyone's contributions, especially Bianca's. "Bianca brought incredible insights during our discussions, and I would like to publicly thank her for her commitment and creativity," Lawrence praised, as everyone in the room applauded. Bianca, in turn, appreciated the recognition, feeling that her role in the company and her relationship with Lawrence had transformed into something deeply rewarding and productive. "Thank you, Lawrence. Working here not only challenges me professionally, but also gives me the opportunity to grow alongside people I value as family," she said, reinforcing the sense of camaraderie among all present. As the team returned to work, with renewed energy and strengthened bonds, Lawrence reflected on how the new family dynamic had not only healed old wounds but also ushered in a phase of prosperity and contentment he had never imagined possible. The connection between his personal and professional life had never been so strong, nor so fruitful. As the relationship between Lawrence and Bianca deepened, they began to value their time together outside the professional context more and more. They now met not just as colleagues or newly discovered siblings, but as friends who had much to learn about each other. On a sunny spring afternoon, they decided to take a walk through the city park, enjoying the pleasant weather and the opportunity to talk without the distractions of the work environment. "You know, Bianca, I was thinking about how little we really know about each other, beyond all the professional and family context," Lawrence started, as they watched children playing around a fountain. "It's true," Bianca agreed, smiling. "There are so many stories we've never shared. What was your life like before all this whirlwind began?" Lawrence laughed, thoughtful. "Well, I used to be quite adventurous in my youth. Believe it or not, I went bungee jumping once. It was a craziness I never repeated." "Really? I would never have imagined," Bianca exclaimed, surprised and amused. "I've always been more of the type to read a good book at home, but there was a time when I ventured into amateur theater. I acted in a Shakespeare play at school." "That's incredible," Lawrence replied, genuinely impressed. "It seems we have more in common than I thought. Maybe we should try acting in a play together, just to see what it would be like." Laughing, they continued their walk, each sharing details of their lives that until then had remained unknown to each other. Bianca talked about the trips she took with her mother when she was younger, while Lawrence described the challenges and joys of growing up in a business-focused family. "Do you remember any particularly happy moment from your childhood?" Lawrence asked, as they sat on a bench, watching the sunset begin to tint the sky orange. "There was a place, a small lake near where we grew up. My mother and I would go there on weekends. She taught me to fish. Can you believe?" Bianca shared, a note of nostalgia in her voice. "What about you? Any special place?" "There was a hill behind the house where we lived. I'd climb up there to see the stars. It was my refuge, my place to think," Lawrence said, his gaze lost in memory. These simple yet profound exchanges allowed Lawrence and Bianca to build a shared history, filling in the gaps left by years of separation. With each shared story, each revealed memory, they not only reinforced their fraternal bond, but also healed a bit more of the wounds left by distance and secrets. As the daylight gave way to the shadows of the evening, both felt a growing gratitude for the opportunity to rebuild their lives together. These moments of sharing not only strengthened their connection but also helped them better understand each other, providing fertile ground for the growth of a genuinely deep and affectionate relationship. The reconstruction of broken family ties and the building of new emotional foundations marked each meeting of the Sanford family. The journey of forgiveness, intricate and demanding, proved to be a path filled with profound lessons about human nature and the capacity for redemption. On a calm afternoon, as a gentle breeze swayed the curtains in Albert's living room, he sat down with Lawrence and Bianca for an important conversation. It was a moment he had carefully planned, knowing that the words about to be shared could define the course of their future as a family. "Lawrence, Bianca," Albert began, his voice trembling but firm, "I know the path here has not been easy for any of us. I have made mistakes that brought pain and complication to our lives. But I want you to know that facing my past and seeking your forgiveness has been the most important and healing thing I have ever done." Bianca, holding Lawrence's hand, responded kindly, "Albert, hearing you acknowledge these things means a lot to us. Forgiveness is not easy, but it's a path we choose to follow because we believe in the possibility of a better future, not just for us but for the whole family." Lawrence, looking at his father with a new perspective, added, "And it's true, Dad, that learning to forgive has taught us a lot about ourselves as well. It's a gift that frees us from burdens we might not have even realized we were carrying." "I am so grateful for that," Albert said, clearly moved. "And my greatest hope is that, as we walk together in this new phase of our lives, we can continue to grow and strengthen the bonds we have now rebuilt." In this spirit of reconciliation and renewal, the family began to plan activities that further strengthened their unity. From short trips as a family to collaborative projects at Lawrence and Bianca's workplace, each initiative was a celebration of their renewed commitment to each other. "How about we organize a trip together?" Lawrence suggested during one of these meetings. "Something symbolic, perhaps to a place that marks a new beginning for all of us." "I would love that," Bianca agreed enthusiastically. "It could be a way for us to create new memories together, memories that are just ours, free from the shadows of the past." "And I will support anything that helps us keep this new light in our lives," Albert added, feeling a wave of optimism about the future for the first time in many years. Thus, with plans being made and the future unfolding before them, Lawrence, Bianca, and Albert discovered that forgiveness was indeed a powerful gift. And more than that, they learned that by forgiving, they not only freed those who had wronged but also paved the way for new possibilities of joy and connection in their own lives. This profound learning continued to shape their behavior and decisions, preparing them to face together any challenges that the future might hold. Through months of reconciliation and shared discoveries, Lawrence and Bianca had learned valuable lessons that transcended their personal experiences. Now, sitting together in one of the elegant offices of the company, surrounded by books and memorabilia that narrated the story of their family and business, they discussed how they could incorporate these lessons into broader initiatives. "Bianca, I've been thinking about how we can use our journey to help others. Our story could inspire, perhaps even change the way businesses handle transparency and family ethics." Lawrence proposed, reflecting on the influence they could wield. "I completely agree, Lawrence. I believe we can create a mentoring program or even workshops that teach about the importance of honesty in business and personal life." Bianca responded, excited about the idea of transforming their experiences into something constructive. "That would be amazing. We could call it the Transparency Project. We'd offer sessions on ethical management, resolving family conflicts in business, and promoting a work environment where truth is not only valued but essential." Lawrence elaborated, his enthusiasm growing as the idea took shape. They decided to organize a series of meetings with the hiring department team and business ethics experts to discuss the feasibility of their ideas. In one of these meetings, Bianca shared a personal reflection that resonated deeply with everyone present. "I learned, perhaps in a harder way, that secrets within a family or a company can create an illusion of peace, but eventually, that peace unravels. When we brought the truth to light, yes, there was pain, but there was also healing. And that healing brought a strength and unity we never had before," Bianca explained, her voice laden with emotion and conviction. "And it's that strength we want to build here. We want our company to not only grow in success, but to grow in character and integrity," Lawrence added, validating Bianca's viewpoint. Inspired by this new mission, Lawrence and Bianca began working on developing materials, programs, and partnerships that could help other organizations navigate the complexities of human relationships with honesty and respect. They also planned public lectures and conference appearances to discuss the topic, seeking to positively influence corporate culture on a broader spectrum. As the Transparency Project came to life, both felt they were not only preserving a family legacy but also creating a new one that could benefit many other families and businesses. This effort not only brought them closer together, but also provided a sense of purpose that went beyond their individual successes. As they worked on this project, Lawrence and Bianca continued to share their stories and lessons learned, not just with each other but with everyone around them, strengthening the belief that truth and transparency are fundamental to any lasting and meaningful relationship. This commitment to truth and ethics set the stage for the next chapters of their lives and the life of their company. As the leaves began to display the vibrant colors of autumn, the Sanford family was preparing for an event that would become a significant annual tradition. The celebration was not just a milestone of individual birthdays, but a collective acknowledgement of the growth and unity they had achieved as a family. Lawrence, along with Bianca and Albert, decided that this year's celebration would be especially memorable. "This year has to be special," Lawrence said during one of the planning meetings. "I want it to reflect our journey together, a testament to what we've overcome and what we've built." "I agree," Bianca responded. "We should include elements that represent each of us, something personal and meaningful. And we mustn't forget to include a way to express our gratitude to everyone who has supported us along the way," added Albert, thoughtfully. They decided that the event would be held in the spacious garden of Lawrence's house, taking advantage of the natural backdrop provided by autumn. The decor would include elements representing their interests and heritages, such as books for Bianca, who had always been an avid reader, model boats for Albert, who had a passion for sailing, and abstract art representing Lawrence's innovative vision. As the big day approached, the anticipation grew. Lawrence made sure to send personal invitations to close friends, family members, and colleagues, each with a handwritten note expressing his gratitude and the desire to share this moment with them. "I believe this celebration is a way to show everyone not only where we are now but where we are headed," Lawrence shared with Bianca as they reviewed the final details. "Yes, it's a way to say that, despite the challenges, here we are, stronger and more united," she replied, smiling. On the day of the event, the garden was transformed. Lanterns hung from the trees softly illuminated the area, creating a welcoming and festive atmosphere. A live band played gentle melodies, and tables adorned with flowers and candles were spread throughout the lawn. As guests arrived, they were greeted by Lawrence, Bianca, and Albert, who made sure to thank each one for their presence and support. During the celebration, Lawrence took the stage to make a toast. With a champagne glass in hand, he looked at the faces gathered before him, his heart full of gratitude. "Today, as we celebrate not just our birthdays but also our family, I want to thank each of you for being part of our journey. Each one of you has contributed in some way to our story. This celebration is for all of us, a recognition of everything we've overcome and all that we still hope to share. To our family, both blood and chosen. Cheers." The guests responded with warm applause and toasts, echoing the sense of community and celebration that Lawrence had articulated. The evening continued with laughter, dancing, and sharing of stories, each moment strengthening the bonds that had transformed the Sanford family from fragments of a painful past into a vibrant present and a promising future. After a celebration filled with joy and deep reflections, Bianca and Lawrence felt revitalized to face the new challenges that the future held. Both were aware that the strength of their fraternal and professional relationship had the potential to transform not only their personal lives, but also the corporate environment of Sanford Enterprises. On a clear and cool morning, they met in one of the glass offices that offered a panoramic view of the city, symbolizing the broad and open horizon they desired for the company. They excitedly discussed expansion plans for the coming year, with maps and charts spread out on the table. "Lawrence, I've thought a lot about how we can further integrate the values of transparency and mutual respect into the core of our company. I think we should start by revising our code of ethics and implementing regular training for all team levels," Bianca suggested, demonstrating her commitment to organizational culture. "That's an excellent idea, Bianca. I've also been thinking about introducing a more open feedback system, where everyone can express themselves without fear of reprisal. This could strengthen trust and open paths to more genuine innovations," Lawrence replied, in line with Bianca's thinking. The conversation deepened on developing new policies, including the creation of an ethics council with representatives elected by the employees themselves. They believed that by giving an active voice to team members, they would promote a more democratic and fair environment. Additionally, how about organizing workshops on ethical leadership and social responsibility? This could inspire our leaders to adopt practices that reflect our core values, Bianca proposed, envisioning the integration of these principles into company leadership. "Great idea! And we could invite external experts and even hold conferences on business ethics to keep everyone up to date and engaged," Lawrence added, excited about the direction they were taking. As they outlined these plans, the office door softly opened, and Marilyn entered, bringing with her 2 cups of coffee and an encouraging smile. "I see you're working hard as always. Don't forget to take a break now and then," she said, placing the cups on the table. "Thank you, Marilyn. Bianca and I were just planning some innovations for the company that we believe will make a big difference," Lawrence explained, while Bianca nodded in agreement. "That sounds wonderful. It's inspiring to see how you're turning challenges into opportunities for growth and improvement," Marilyn commented, proud. Encouraged by this continued support, Lawrence and Bianca continued to flesh out their plans, increasingly confident that they were on the right path to create not only a promising future for Sanford Enterprises but also an exemplary one for the business community as a whole. This planning day not only reinforced their professional and personal bonds, but also reaffirmed their commitment to a legacy of integrity and innovation. In the office that reflected both the success and aspirations of Lawrence and Bianca, they met for a meeting that would mark the culmination of their joint efforts. The afternoon light softly filtered through the large windows, illuminating the determined and satisfied faces of the siblings as they reviewed the latest performance reports of Sanford Enterprises. "Look at this, Bianca. Our latest numbers have exceeded all expectations. And the feedback on the ethics workshops has been extraordinarily positive," Lawrence said, unable to hide the pride in his voice as he handed over the colorful charts to her. Bianca, analyzing the charts, smiled broadly. "It's more than just numbers, Lawrence. It's proof that when ethics and transparency lead the way, success is inevitably more meaningful. We've changed the culture of our company, but more importantly, we've touched the lives of the people who work with us." "That's true. And to think of everything we've been through," Lawrence reflected, his mind wandering through memories of the challenges they had faced together. He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline stretching before them. "It feels like just yesterday we were trying to figure out how we could overcome the secrets of our past." Bianca joined him, her gaze also lost in the urban landscape. "And now, here we are, not just survivors but leaders of a transformation. I think our mother would be proud, Lawrence." "I have no doubt about that," he replied, placing a loving arm around her shoulders. "And our father, despite everything, he gave us the chance to do things differently, to do things right." Lawrence's phone rang, momentarily interrupting their moment of reflection. It was a call from Marilyn, inviting them to a celebratory dinner that evening with close friends and family. "It looks like we have another celebration ahead," Lawrence said, smiling as he hung up the phone. "Marilyn is organizing a dinner to celebrate not just our professional successes, but also the strengthening of our family. That sounds perfect. Let's celebrate then, Bianca agreed, the enthusiasm evident in her voice. That night, as everyone gathered around the elegant table at Lawrence's house, toasts were made, and laughter was shared. The atmosphere was filled with a warmth that only true family unity could provide. To everyone here, thank you for being part of our journey. Each of you has, in some way, helped turn a dream into reality. And here we are, stronger and more united than ever, Lawrence toasted, raising his glass. The story of Lawrence and Bianca, marked by unexpected twists and formidable challenges, found its epilogue not in a conclusive end but in a continuous commitment to truth, integrity, and innovation. The company flourished under their shared leadership, and the Sanford family, healed and strengthened, continued to celebrate the truth and unity that had redefined their family legacy. This was not just the realization of a dream, but the beginning of a new chapter of limitless possibilities.
So, if you're not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button below and join our community. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.